So, you're looking at the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. It's powerful, it's comprehensive, but it's also a lot. The big question for everyone is, how do we take this amazing guide and turn it into something we can actually use? Let's get into it.
And this is a super common feeling, right? You've got the framework, you might even have the playbook, but you're staring at it all wondering, okay, where do I even begin? It can feel a little overwhelming trying to connect this big abstract idea to your daily work.
That feeling, that's what we can call the governance gap. It's that space between knowing you need to manage AI risk and actually having a concrete, working plan to get it done. It's the gap between theory and reality. And this is the single most important thing to remember. A framework is not a plan. The NIST AI RMF is brilliant at telling you what you should be thinking about, but it's not a step-by-step instruction manual. That part, the how, that's up to you.
You see, the whole framework is built around these four core ideas: govern, map, measure, and manage. They're the pillars, but look at them. They're high-level concepts. How do you actually cultivate a culture or establish context on a Tuesday morning? That's the real challenge.
Well, thankfully, the answer is built right into the framework itself, and it's a tool called AI RMF Profiles. This is the secret sauce. This is how you bridge that gap from the abstract concept to real, on-the-ground action.
So what is a profile? Simply put, it's your version of the framework. It's where you take all those general principles and customize them for a very specific situation, whether that's a certain project, a legal requirement you have to meet, or the industry you're in.
I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Think of the main NIST framework like a city's building code. It has all the general rules for safety and soundness that apply to every building. But your profile? That's the actual architect's blueprint for your building. A hospital blueprint and a house blueprint both have to follow the same code, but they are obviously very, very different.
So what does this look like in the real world?
Well, you could create an AI RMF hiring profile that focuses like a laser on the fairness and bias risks in your recruiting software. Or maybe an AI RMF fair housing profile to make sure your models are absolutely aligned with non-discrimination laws. You can even create a profile for a specific technology, like a broad, large language model profile to handle its unique risks everywhere you use it.
Okay, so we're all in on profiles. They make sense, but how do you actually make one? Well, it's a strategic process, and it really comes down to creating two key documents that will chart your course forward.
You start with what's called a current profile, and this requires some real honesty. It's a snapshot of what you're doing right now. No sugarcoating. What are your actual processes today for this specific use case? What are your strengths? And more importantly, what are your weaknesses?
And then you define your target profile. This is the destination. This is your vision for the ideal state. Based on your goals, your ethics, your legal needs, what does great look like? This is what you're aiming for.
And when you put these two side by side, it's incredibly powerful. You get this perfect contrast. It's literally where we are today versus where we absolutely need to be. This simple comparison sets the stage for the most critical part of the whole process.
Because that comparison, that's what we call a gap analysis. And this is where everything starts to click. This is how you turn a simple assessment into a powerful strategic plan that tells you exactly what to do.
The structure for this is actually pretty simple. You set up a table like this one. You pull in the relevant categories like fairness or data quality straight from the NIST framework itself. Then you just fill in the blanks, current state versus target state.
Let's use our AI hiring profile as an example. Under the fairness and bias category, your current state might be, some ad hoc checks the dev team runs when they have time. But your target state is a documented, independent audit before anything goes live. The gap is huge, and for something like hiring, the priority is obviously high.
And look what happens when you start filling this out for other categories. Suddenly, a clear, prioritized to-do list just emerges from the data. You're not just randomly listing problems anymore. You're creating a strategic inventory of your biggest risks and assigning a priority to each one. It's brilliant.
Now, that finished gap analysis isn't the final report you put on a shelf. It's the starting gun. It becomes your strategic roadmap. It tells you what to fix, and just as importantly, in what order to fix it.
The analysis feeds directly into a really simple but powerful three-step plan. 1, you've already identified the gaps. 2, use your priority ratings to allocate money and people to the biggest fires first. And 3, you create a real action plan with names and dates to get it all done.
And that's the ultimate power of using AI RMF profiles. It completely transforms risk management. It stops being a boring, reactive, check-the-box chore and becomes a proactive, strategic engine for actually building AI systems that people can trust.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Looking at everything you're doing with AI, what's the very first, most important risk that your organization needs to build a profile for?